Man, I love playing video games. I love playing video games on the consoles they were meant for. Ah!
So, you have a video game. You have to specifically program the game to work on specific hardware using like numbers or something. Radical. Now what are you going to do with it? Dabble with the dark arts.
Video games on platforms they were not meant for. Now, I'm not talking about a standard port like a Wii game on the Switch. What the heck? I'm talking about games that were designed for a specific hardware, then put onto a console that it definitely wasn't designed for. Get out of there!
I bought the Wonderful 101 on the Wii U since what else am I gonna do with this? And it was fine. I do love Platinum games, but this one just didn't grab me like I wanted it to. I think it was because they are so small, so tiny, that I just keep losing where I am, and then everything sucks. Oh my god. You control one of the wonderful agents and do special attacks by doing shapes. Lines, circles, triangle, gun, and you can do it with the right stick or by drawing on the gamepad. Cool. You can also use items or change which agent you can use. I have no idea why you always need access to switch to Wonderful Bitch, but yeah, you can do that. Okay, so what if we put this game on PC, Switch, and PlayStation?
No, you can't do that. No, you're supposed to play it on the Wii U, not the PlayStation, no!
So, the game is weird. It works perfectly well on the PS5, and you can hide the second screen when you don't need it. Or when you really need it. Going into it, I thought that the second screen was going to be there the entire time, which is why I bought the game on Wii U in the first place. There are times when the second screen has to be visible. There's specific parts where you go inside a building and the screen switches to the gamepad, so you have to look at the gamepad and the TV to figure out what to do. But that doesn't explain why the second screen shows up after you finish a mission. It just seems weird that the second screen is there at all.
You could definitely make it work so that you don't need the second screen in these sections. So it's weird that they just chose not to. But I mean, overall, it's still a good game. I just don't like the Wonderful 101. I didn't like it to begin with, but the ports aren't a bad way to play the game. It just feels more natural on the Wii U. What else can this thing even do?
Well, the Virtual Console was a thing, where you could play games from the NES, SNES, N64, and Wii games.
What's this? There were also DS games. Why?
So yeah, DS games were also included on this, and sure, the Wii U gamepad has a touchscreen, can you find it? And because of this, you can play DS games on the console.
So, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I find that the gamepad is a really comfortable controller.
The buttons, the back buttons, the D-pad buttons, really any of the buttons. I even find the size to be pretty good, despite it being so big. But for DS games, the gamepad sideways with this screen layout is the closest way to replicate a real DS. So thank God they put this ridge here to stop that. Plus, with the pilgrimage you have to take to reach the buttons, and the fact that you have to play the game on the gamepad because on the TV it looks like this isn't really the best way to play them. Thankfully, they give you a multitude of screen layouts for you to choose from.
Too bad they're not very good. Oh, totally got him. High five. Down low. Too slow. Hot. Dap me up, homie. Yeah, got him. Yeah. This is how we do things here in the area that I live in.
I played a few DS games on the system, and all I can say is that each layout depends on the game you're playing. Games where you control only with the touchscreen, it's better to have the bottom screen big, and games that don't really use the touchscreen, it's better to have the top screen big.
But even then, if you had to go through all this effort for the games to be playable on the console, only for them to not even be controlled well, maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Animal Crossing thinks I'm a girl. Anyways, PlayStation had portable systems.
Okay.
The PlayStation Vita has games, but nobody cares about the Vita, so just play them on the PS4 instead. Gravity Rush is a pretty good game. You play as Kat as you fight through monsters with gravity powers in this world out of a comic book. But I think playing it on a Vita would be like me playing Splatoon on the Wii U when that first came out.
Whoa.
So how do you make it better? You put gyro controls in the controller.
That's it. Gravity Rush didn't do anything new in the first place. I just felt it was worth mentioning because Gravity Rush is good.
Follow the mysterious man. That's good advice to give to women. Anyways, the Vita also had a touchscreen, because Sony just really wanted you to touch their games.
Gyro controls and a touchscreen? That means that Vita games would work really well on the Wii U.
Put them on PS4.
I'm sad now.
Tearaway Unfolded is a cool game. It's an updated version of the original Vita release meant to be played on the PS4, not PS5.
I'm a rebel.
The game involves you becoming God and controlling a messenger to bring you a message from this delightful papercraft world into the real world. I gave you a mouth and I can take it away. So I haven't played the original, but from what I've seen, this was a game that really took advantage of the Vita. You had to shake it, use the back touchpad, the camera, so many things that made this game a PlayStation Vita game. Few games I have seen that actually made me think that the console they were originally released on is the only way to play it. But this is one of them.
So what kind of black magic did they do for this one?
So Media Monocle went in and changed everything about how the game would work to be played with a DualShock 4 controller. You can now shine your light onto the peasants below, which you don't have because you're playing on a PS5. Use the touchpad for most things that would use the touchscreen in the original, like blowing wind or drawing crown. The one thing I was interested in was how they would incorporate the fingers. In the original, it was used to fight enemies and to do environmental puzzles, but here, those actions have been split between the light and the touchpad.
But I wanted to finger Tearaway.
This is one of the few games that went above and beyond to make sure that it could be played on other platforms and still feel like it was meant to be there. That's pretty cool. So, I'm a big fan of Tetris. I love blocks that fall and the such. But something that I haven't been able to try out was Tetris Effect, since it was exclusive to VR for so long. I've heard stories about how life-changing this one Tetris game is, and now that the console port, Tetris Effect Connected, released, I can finally experience Tetris. It's not like I own multiple versions anyway.
But who am I kidding? There's no way that Tetris could be this life-altering game or anything. Oh my god. Is this what drugs feel like?
Everything anyone has ever said about this game is true. I thought that going into it, the trance you're supposed to feel from the game would be downplayed or straight up not there, but no, it's all there, black and white, clear as day. You stole fizzy lifting drinks. You fucked my mom. Can't believe this, Charlie. The factory's yours.
Honestly, this is a game that you have to play to understand its power. Footage may show off the psychedelic nature, but it's nothing compared to when you're actually in the moment.
So Valve made Steam, we can all agree on that, and that led to the creation of the Steam Deck, which I have right here. Wait a second. The Steam Deck is basically a portable version of Steam. You can play all your favorite games from your Steam library on the go.
But there's only one thing wrong with it. It doesn't have any exclusive games. This thing was designed so that potentially every game on Steam can be played on it. So why talk about it here?
Well, at the launch of the system, Valve released a tech demo that allows you to test out your Steam Deck, Aperture Desk Job, which you can play on your PC with a controller.
Any controller.
Aperture Desk Job is just a fun trip in early Aperture as you test out toilets, create the first turret, go to jail, and succumb to the praying mantis uprising.
I did play it when it first came out, and man, if I played it on a Steam Deck, that would have been really cool. This game only exists to show off the Steam Deck as a controller, and because of the way the system is set up, you can just not.
Anyways, Steam has more games that it shouldn't, i.e. Disney Infinity. You know Toys to Life, it was everywhere. My collection was over $1,500 and became valueless quick. Yeah, play it on your computer. From what I can tell, it's the entire game of Disney Infinity. Every character, every playset, every power disc, all of it is unlocked in the game for you. This is clearly not how the game was intended to be played. How do you think you can take $1,500 from children without being anti-consumerist? But honestly, if for whatever reason you actually want to play these games, this is the best way.
So the Kinect was pretty cool, right? Right? I played on the Kinect a lot while growing up, and outside of dancing games, my favorite game to play with my sister was Kinect Disneyland Adventures.
I loved going around to all the characters and talking to them and roaming around the park and playing games, all while using my body as a controller. Put it on Steam. They also did this with Kinect Rush, releasing the games without motion controls and replacing them with regular button controls. I get why and how, but these games were designed to be played with the Kinect, so I honestly don't see the appeal of playing them with a controller.
There is one last game I want to mention, because it's quite possibly the funniest game to play on a console that it most certainly was never meant for.
The Nintendo GameCube released and many people won't shut up about it.
Regardless of my opinions on the console, something cool that it had was the Game Boy player.
An attachment to the console that allowed for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games to be played on the TV. No, they're not supposed to be there! Get them off! But one game released on the Game Boy that was revolutionary to the future of gaming. Kirby Tilt and Tumble. The game cartridge has an accelerometer in it, so that the game knew when it was being tilted, and you could control Kirby using tilt controls.
We wouldn't have gotten Gravity Rush without it. So a Game Boy game that uses motion controls, and a home console with an attachment to play Game Boy games. Yeah, so you can play Kirby Tilt and Tumble by tilting a GameCube. Here's a speedrunner proving it's possible. So after all of that, maybe I should just try playing games on consoles they were meant for. Or just playing games in general. I've actually been playing through Nier Replicant. It's a pretty fun game, but it would be pretty upsetting if one of the main characters was a woman in sexy lingerie. God damn it.